Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. After Wang Lin's soul devourer soul killed the 6 Ting family core members, it quickly returned to his body. Wang Lin opened his eyes and pondered for a while. When he was killing that middle-aged man, he saw a figure that shook his heart. If his eyes hadn't fooled him, then that person was Wang Zhuo. The woman beside him was the daughter of the middle-aged man. There was clearly some relationship between them. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he put away the restriction flag, bronze mirror, and the devils. Then, he jumped onto the mosquito beast and quickly found the woman that was with Wang Zhuo through his divine sense. The direction the woman was walking in wasn't toward Ting family city, but the country's border. Wang Lin pondered for a while, then chased after her. Ting Xiao was filled with sadness. Although she was running away, she couldn't stop the tears from coming out. She didn't know what became of her father, but she had a feeling that was weighing down her heart so heavily that she could barely breathe. The complex feelings in Wang Zhuo's heart became even stronger. Although he felt very good when the Ting family members were killed, he was now feeling a deep sense of concern. Wang Zhuo's body shook. He stopped moving and closed his eyes as he recalled his family being killed by the Ting family. Ting Xiao saw that Wang Zhuo stopped, so she quickly stopped moving as well. She looked at him while biting her lower lip. Right now, this man, her husband, was the only one she could rely on. After a while, Wang Zhuo opened his eyes and viciously slapped himself a few times. He wanted to slap himself away. He wanted to remind himself that the Ting family was his enemy, and that he didn't have any feelings for Ting Xiao. As long as they were from the Ting family, they should die. Ting Xiao quickly moved forward to stop Wang Zhuo. Her tears flowed endlessly. Wang Zhuo steeled his heart. He waved his arm and threw Ting Xiao to the side. He said, "Leave. From now on, you and I have nothing to do with each other." Ting Xiao looked at Wang Zhuo with despair in her eyes. She didn't even realize that she was biting her lip so hard that she was bleeding. She was overflowing with tears as she tried to grab Wang Zhuo. But Wang Zhuo dodged again and coldly said, "You won't leave. Then I'll go." With that, he started to fly toward the opposite direction. Ting Xiao stared dumbfoundedly at Wang Zhuo's back. The despair in her eyes grew even stronger. Her heart felt as if it was being cut by a knife. Her face became red in a sickly way, and she coughed out a mouthful of blood. Her face became pale as she tried to steady herself. The truth was, the moment Wang Zhuo turned around, he could feel his heart tear open, but thinking about the deaths of all of his family members, he forced himself to steel his heart. At this moment, the pain Wang Zhuo was feeling wasn't any less painful than Ting Xiao's. Ting Xiao let out a pitiful smile as she softly called to Wang Zhuo. "Don't go." Wang Zhuo's body shook. He clenched his fist as he suddenly turned to Ting Xiao and shouted, "Scram." With that, he quickly sped up and in the blink of an eye, disappeared without a trace. Blood leaked from Ting Xiao's mouth again as she looked at the direction Wang Zhuo disappeared to. She let out a bitter smile and confusion filled her eyes. Although the world was large, she didn't know where to go. Of the 2 most important men in the world to her, she didn't know if one was dead or alive and the other abandoned her. For a woman, this wasn't any different than the sky collapsing. Wang Zhuo flew more than 10 kilometers away. His hands were bleeding from clenching his fists so hard. Visions of the deaths of his family members filled his mind, but the sight of Ting Xiao's sadness and despair slowly replaced them. After a long time, Wang Zhuo landed on the ground. He kneeled facing the direction of his hometown, viciously kowtowed, and said, "Father, mother, your son is unfilial." After he finished speaking, he closed his eyes and 2 streams of tears flowed down his cheeks. Then, he got up and quickly went to chase after Ting Xiao. The moment he turned, he felt like he could see his family members, especially his parents, stare at him with painful gazes. They were all pointing at him and calling him a traitor, calling him the bastard son of the Wang family. Wang Zhuo's heart had been torn into two as he chased after Ting Xiuxiu. Soon, he saw the confused Ting Xiuxiu flying. She seemed to notice and turned around, revealing a gentle smile. But the moment the two met, a powerful kill intent rushed toward their direction. They saw a youth with white hair that flowed with the wind riding a giant mosquito beast flying toward them. Behind him were countless bodies of the Ting family. The intense smell of blood followed afterwards. Ting Xiuxiu's face became pale. She subconsciously hid behind Wang Zhuo, her body shaking. Wang Zhuo stared at the white-haired youth. His eyes revealed a look of disbelief. You are Wang Lin. Wang Zhuo. Wang Lin jumped off the mosquito beast. He landed before Wang Zhuo and looked at the woman behind him. Wang Zhuo subconsciously hid Ting Xiuxiu and looked at Wang Lin with a complex look. After a long time, he slowly said, I should have already guessed that only you would have the power to get revenge for our family. Wang Lin pondered for a while and softly said, Wang Zhuo, I'm sorry. Wang Zhuo let out a bitter smile and said, if you had said that to me back then, I wouldn't have forgiven you, but right now, we only have one enemy, and that is Ting Huyuan. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he slowly said, Ting Huyuan won't be able to run away, the entire Ting family won't be able to run away. Ting Xiuxiu's body shook. Although she was terrified, she still asked, My father shut up. Wang Zhuo stopped Ting Xiuxiu from speaking. He calmed himself and said to Wang Lin, she is your sister-in-law. Before Wang Zhuo could finish speaking, Wang Lin blandly said, your father shouldn't have been named Ting. Ting Xiuxiu's body shook. The gaze she directed at Wang Lin contained deep hatred. The moment Wang Zhuo heard those words, he knew that Wang Lin already knew about Ting Xiuxiu's identity. The complex feelings in his heart became even stronger. Wang Lin pondered for a while. He looked at the horizon and asked, is Wang Hao still at the Xian Dao sect? Wang Zhuo shook his head and bitterly said, he didn't manage to form his core, he is already dead. Wang Lin closed his eyes. He let out a sigh and said, you and Ha should leave Zhao. With that, he didn't even look back and jumped onto the mosquito beast. Wang Zhuo's series of actions had clearly expressed that he didn't want Ting Xiuxiu to die. Wang Zhuo looked at Wang Lin's figure. His feelings became even more complicated. The death of his family and parents flashed before his eyes. All of them stared at him, calling him a traitor of the Wang family. Wang Zhuo let out a bitter smile as he turned around to look at Ting Xiuxiu. His heart sank as he saw a very deep, hidden feeling of hatred in her eyes. Wang Zhu pondered for a bit. His eyes became soft as he gently said, Xiuxiu, let us go. With that, his right handle gently touched her hair. Ting Xiuxiu was startled and then started to cry again. For all the time they had been together, this was the first time Wang Zhuo called her Xiuxiu. However, her smile at the next moment froze, because Wang Zhuo's hand was on her Qian Lin. With a surge of his spiritual energy, he ended his wife's life. Ting Xiuxiu died without any pain. She died in the arms of her lover. Holding the corpse of his wife, Wang Zhuo's eyes were filled with sorrow. He looked at the direction Wang Lin disappeared toward and said, Wang Lin, I won't become a traitor of the Wang family, and I won't allow a shred of the Ting family bloodline to remain. With that, he kneeled toward the direction of his hometown and kowtowed a few times. He hit his forehead with his palm, ending all of the life in his body. Blood leaked from his mouth as he fell to the ground looking at his wife. Xiuxiu, don't be scared. I'll accompany you. Wang Lin was standing on the mosquito beast as his body suddenly quivered. He could clearly feel the light representing Wang Zhuo in his divine sense disappear. He pondered for a bit, then his body disappeared from the top of the mosquito beast. When he appeared, he was standing next to Wang Zhuo's body. Wang Lin looked at Wang Zhuo's body with a complex feeling in his heart. He understood that Wang Zhuo was torn between his family and lover, and in the end could only kill his lover with his own hands to end the guilt toward his family. At the same time, after his wife died, he killed himself to fulfill his love for his wife. Wang Lin pondered for a while, then pointed his finger at Wang Zhuo's brow. Gradually, a weak soul fire that could be extinguished at any time appeared in Wang Lin's hand. He let out a sigh and disappeared from the spot. In the northeastern part of the capital city, there was a large house that belonged to the Wang family. A white-haired youth appeared inside the Wang family household. The youth walked through the house as if he was transparent. None of the servants seemed to notice him. After the white-haired youth walked inside the house for a while, he stopped before a building. Inside sat a woman whose stomach had a bulge. She was clearly pregnant. The youth looked for a while, then took out a ball of white light. He let out a sigh as he threw out the white light. The white light entered the woman's stomach. The not completely formed baby that hadn't produced its own soul yet gradually fused with the white light. This person will step into the cultivation world in the future. Maybe we will have another chance to meet in the future, the youth muttered to himself as he left. Hengyu Mountain Range, Xiandao Sect. The back mountain, where Wang Lin trained before, was dotted with countless man-made caves. At the top of the mountain was the only natural cave on the mountain, and Punnan Zi was cultivating inside it. His appearance hadn't changed a bit in the past 400 years. Dripping sounds echoed inside the cave as water dripped from the ceiling. For a long time, a strange light shone from Punnan Zi's face that changed back and forth. Gradually, he opened his eyes. They shined as if they contained stars. Punnan Zi raised his right hand and formed a seal. His expression remained neutral. Then, he waved his right hand forward and the stone before him suddenly began to shine. Soon, 10 points of light appeared on the rock wall. However, the moment the 10 points of light appeared, 6 of them immediately dimmed, then disappeared. Punnan Zi's face slightly twitched, and his expression slightly darkened. The air around him suddenly slowed down and soon, even water stopped dripping from the ceiling. If any spirit-severing cultivators were around, their eyes would light up, because affecting the fluctuations of the surrounding spiritual energy to use certain techniques was something only spirit-severing cultivators could do. Punnan Zi was at the edge of the spirit-severing stage. To him, it was not far away at all. The only thing that separated him from the spirit-severing stage was a paper-thin barrier, and all he needed to do was find the right place to poke through. Punnan Zi stared at the points of lights on the wall. After a long time, he sighed and said, "Ting Huiyuan, who did you offend to bring such disaster upon yourself? If it wasn't for the fact that Lord Shi specifically wanted to use the Ting family as an experiment, this old man really wouldn't want to deal with any of your Ting family affairs." Punnan Zi's face became gloomy. Even he didn't know what it was about the Ting family that made Lord Shi pick them. If it wasn't so, then with just the Ting family's resources, there was no way they would suddenly gain 9 nascent soul cultivators, and Ting Huiyuan wouldn't suddenly become almost as strong as Punnan Zi in merely 400 years. He pondered a little, then stood up, waved his sleeves, and disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was already at the peak of the Hengyu mountain range. Punnan Zi got down on one knee, stared at the sky, and formed many different seals with his hand. As the seals formed, more and more clouds appeared and an invisible pressure slowly built up in the sky. Punnan Zi then waved his hand and said, "I, Punnan Zi, from a lower cultivation country, would like to borrow a magic treasure." The moment he said those words, 2 beams of light, red and green, shot out from the Hengyu mountain range. The lights became more and more intense and all of the spiritual energy in Zhao started to gather at the Hengyu mountain range. The 2 lights landed next to Punnan Zi. They soon dimmed and revealed their true form. Their true form was 2 magic discs. On the magic disc were 4 blades that emitted a cold light. There were even rifts in space around them. It can easily be said that this wasn't a nascent soul-level magic treasure, and was made by someone spirit-severing or higher. Punnan Zi respectfully kowtowed a few times, before finally imprinting them with his divine sense and carefully placing them in his bag of holding. Only then did he finally relax. He started to emit a powerful killing intent and muttered, "Ting Huiyuan, this is the last time I'll help you. If within 100 years the Ting family still doesn't have a spirit-severing cultivator, don't blame me for being ruthless toward the Ting family." With that, he disappeared without a trace. The moment the spirit energy surged, Wang Li noticed it. Although his expression didn't change, his heart sunk. However, He let out a cold snort and charged toward the direction of the last core Ting family member. At the border of the country of Zhao was a very mysterious space. Every time a mortal brought this place up, it would cause fear. Even cultivators are extremely nervous about this place. It was a huge pit of black mud. This was a pit filled with black mud that emitted a smell that stung the nose. No one aside from a few people knew exactly how deep this mud pit really was. Every 100 years, this mud pit would explode, and every explosion was a shocking sight. Most of the time, this was a prohibited place. No matter whether it was mortals, cultivators, or beasts, when they got within certain range of the mud pit, they would be pulled in by a powerful suction force and be buried alive. After a long time, a black fog quietly appeared and covered the whole area. This was considered the most dangerous place in Zhao in the past 400 years, Black Mud Pit. In the deepest part of this black mud pit was a coffin made of black crystals. This black crystal coffin wasn't covered by black mud. It could be said that there was a thick layer of white bones between the coffin and the black mud. Among these bones were the bones of humans and beasts. These bones belonged to the people that were sucked in over the past 400 years. This place was where the person Ting 8 feared the most cultivated. This was Ting 1's cultivating area. Ting 1 was a legend in the Ting family. This person wasn't a descent of Ting Huiyuan. To be exact, he was a younger brother of Ting Huiyuan. He was the only core Ting family member that no one dared to challenge, and the only person that held the name Ting 1 for the past 400 years. When Wang Lin got within 1,000 kilometers of the mud pit, he noticed what was special about this place. After pondering a little, he decided not to let the mosquito beast continue and flew onward by himself. Almost the moment Wang Lin entered the 1,000-kilometer range of the mud pit, a withered hand reached out from the coffin. Slowly, a skeleton-like man sat up. This person's whole body was black and there were no muscles in his body at all. On his head were only a few patches of hair. The whole person looked very terrifying. In his eyes, a ghostly light gradually lit up. He then slowly raised his head. At the moment, Wang Lin was above the black mud pit. His expression was more serious than it had been before and his restriction flag was already out and floating next to him. He looked at the mud pit. Without any hesitation, his eyes glowed red and a series of G-realm red lightning bolts shot into the black mud. Deep inside the mud pit, the ghostly light in the eyes of the man in the coffin shined brightly as he watched the series of red lightning bolts land. The man raised his bony hand and touched one of the red lightning bolts. Suddenly, with a loud bang, the red lightning disappeared without a trace and cracks appeared on the man's finger. The man licked his lips. In the ghostly light in his eyes, a powerful urge to fight appeared. He slowly stood up. At that moment, more red lightning bolts landed, but were blocked by his finger. Eventually, all of the red lightning bolts were blocked, but his entire right arm was filled with cracks. He looked at his arm and shook it. It instantly turned to dust. He didn't seem to care at all. His body emitted a powerful will to fight. He let out a smile as he charged upwards. Wang Lin's face was very ugly. He could clearly feel that just now, the red lightning formed by the G-realm was blocked at the cost of only an arm. Something like this has never happened before. Wang Lin could confirm that this person's cultivation level was not spirit-severing yet, but he could block the attack of the G-realm. The moment the man started to dash upward, Wang Lin surrounded the area with the restriction flag without any hesitation. Then, his hand formed a seal and 90 restrictions turned into the shape of dragons and charged toward the mud pit. The skinny man revealed a dumbfounded expression toward the restrictions. He didn't dodge at all and allowed the restrictions to hit his body. Suddenly, countless cracks appeared all over his body. After the last restriction landed, although his body was covered in cracks, he wasn't even slowed down at all. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he quickly backed up. His hand formed a seal and pointed to the sky as 90 more restriction flew out. The skinny man looked at the cracks on his body, then at Wang Lin. He licked his lips as he suddenly disappeared from the spot. Without any hesitation, Wang Lin dodged to the side, and with a ripping sound, the edge of Wang Lin's clothes were torn. Right where Wang Lin was before, the skinny man appeared, holding a piece of Wang Lin's clothes. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Wang Lin's scalp tingled as he stared at the skinny man. If he was a breath slower, he would have been hit by the skinny man. His eyes darkened as the restrictions descended once more and charged toward the skinny man. The skinny man once again revealed a dumbfounded expression. He didn't dodge. He simply let the restrictions hit him, causing more cracks to appear on his body. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Before all of the restrictions landed, he spent even more spiritual energy to summon more restrictions to attack. At the same time, his body never stopped as he constantly moved around. While he was controlling the restrictions, countless G-realm red lightning bolts were shot out. That skinny man still didn't move. Only when the G-realm lightning was about to land would he raise his left hand to block. Gradually, more and more cracks appeared on his body and his left arm started to turn to dust. This was a very strange battle. Wang Lin's battle experience can be said to be very rich, but he has never experienced a battle this strange. Ting Wan didn't dodge or block. He just allowed attacks to hit him. However, not even Wang Lin could last long while using all these powerful attacks, especially the G-realm, which damaged his own nascent soul every time he used it. Wang Lin's body disappeared and reappeared 100 meters away. He took out a jade bottle and dumped all of its contents into his mouth to recover his spiritual energy. But at the same time, the skinny man raised his head and moved once again. Wang Lin's sense of danger rang in his head as he quickly dodged to the side. Once again, he barely got out of the way as the skinny man reappeared and attacked. His forehead was filled with sweat as he quickly digested the pills he had just consumed to recover the spiritual energy in his body. He slapped his bag of holding and took out the ancient sword sheath. He then took out a flying sword and pushed it into the sword sheath. Suddenly, the sword energy rushed out from the sword sheath, forming a giant sword, which landed on Ting Wan. The skinny man became dumbfounded again, as he allowed the sword energy to crash into his body. His body finally wasn't able to withstand all the damage and began to collapse. But just as his whole body was about to collapse, he suddenly seemed to have realized something. He struggled to make his almost collapsed left hand form a seal, and said a word that sounded like bones rubbing together. Condense. Suddenly, the body that was about to collapse shined gold and returned to perfect condition. Wang Lin took a deep breath as he stared at the person, unable to say a word. The skinny man's eyes lit up as he stared at Wang Lin with a powerful urge to battle. His hand formed a fist and turned into a blur as he punched toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he immediately backed up. But he quickly found that all of the surrounding spiritual power seemed to have been sucked away by a mysterious power. It even seemed to create an imprisoning power. Wang Lin soon felt his speed decrease drastically under this power. At that moment, Wang Lin's heart quickly calmed down. He hurriedly took out the bronze mirror and pointed it at Ting Wan, but the green light released by the bronze mirror had no effect on him. Ting Wan's fist hit the bronze mirror. The mirror cracked and released flashes of light. Thanks to that light, the imprisonment surrounding him weakened and he quickly moved out of the area. At the same time, his heart ached as he shouted, "Explode!" A large number of cracks suddenly appeared on the ancient bronze mirror, and then it exploded. This explosion created a huge gust of wind that swept across the area. After the gust of wind passed, Ting Wan coughed out a mouthful of golden blood. The moment the blood came out of his mouth, his body looked a lot weaker. He had a panicked expression on his face as he chased after the blood, trying to swallow it. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He didn't hesitate in the slightest as he charged forward instead of backing up. There was something strange about that blood. When Ting Wan saw Wang Lin rushing over, he flew even faster and reached out his hands. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he reached out as well. Under the force of both sides, the golden blood split into two halves, each half floating toward one of them. After Ting Wan got hold of the golden blood, he quickly swallowed it. Then, he stared at Wang Lin and quickly charged at him. Wang Lin grabbed the golden blood and ran off without a word. The two flew very quickly, one after the other. Wang Lin didn't run in a straight line, but circled the area around the mud pit. He had always felt that Ting Wan was very strange. When he saw the golden blood, he finally realized something. Although he didn't know what this golden blood was, the memories of the ancient god had something similar. In truth, this golden blood wasn't anything special. It was just similar to the blood of an ancient god, or more accurately, it contained a bit of the blood of an ancient god. Aside from the time he reformed his body, none of Ting Wan's attacks released any spiritual energy fluctuations at all. His attacks were purely physical. This method no longer belonged to a cultivator. This person was like a puppet that only knew how to use brute force. Ting Wan was also filled with confusion when it came to Wang Lin's techniques, but under this confusion, there seemed to be a hint of understanding. This person must have cultivated a very strange technique, and became like this under the influence of that technique. There were simply too many cultivation methods in the cultivation world for Wang Lin to know them all, but what he guessed was very accurate. The method Ting Wan cultivated was very similar to the way the ancient gods trained their bodies. This method didn't belong to Zhao, but to the messenger in Heaven's Tower. After cultivating this method, one's divine sense and soul fuse with the body, which was why Wang Lin's Ji realm lost its one-hit kill ability. Wang Lin stared at the golden blood in his hand as his eyes lit up. This person's cultivation method wasn't that of a puppet, but an imitation of the ancient gods. A cold light flashed across Wang Lin's eyes as he slapped his bag of holding and summoned a dark mist. The dark mist turned into two puppets. These were two of the nascent soul puppets he got from old man Jimo. Wang Lin flicked his right finger, and 2 drops of blood landed on the puppets. Suddenly, the puppets' eyes glowed red as they charged toward Ting Wan. The puppets attacked with their hands and feet, trying to stop Ting Wan. Ting Wan's eyes emitted a ghostly light. He formed a fist and punched one of the puppets. The puppet shook and shattered into pieces. Although his companion was killed, the remaining puppet was unafraid as it continued to attack. Wang Lin took this chance and suddenly stopped. He threw the golden blood into the air. His hand formed a complex seal as he chanted in a complex language. At that moment, even the most educated man would have trouble understanding what Wang Lin was saying, because Wang Lin was speaking in the language of the ancient gods to use a technique. In truth, Wang Lin had a lot of techniques that belonged to the ancient gods in his memories, but without the inheritance of power, it was impossible for him to use any of them. The technique he was using now was one of the few that didn't require the inheritance of power. It only required some blood of the ancient god. After Wang Lin saw the blood, he made the decision to use this technique. As Wang Lin's chant continued, the golden blood began to boil and emit white gas. As more and more white gas escaped, the golden blood condensed into a strange symbol. The moment the symbol appeared, the sky darkened and all of the clouds disappeared as a beam of golden light descended. As the golden light descended, a huge figure composed purely of spiritual energy appeared. This figure was simply large, its head reaching into the sky. As its body solidified, it used a massive amount of spiritual energy from the spirit veins within Zhao. From that day on, 3/5 of the spirit veins became useless. Large amounts of spiritual energy gathered. The remaining 2/5 of the spirit veins gradually lost spiritual energy as well, but the amount of blood used was simply too small. So the giant wasn't able to take physical form, and only remained in an illusionary state. Wang Lin's forehead was filled with sweat. Using this technique proved to be a huge burden on his body as the purple star on his forehead rapidly flickered. At the same time, Wang Lin struggled to point his right hand at Ting Wan, who saw that something was wrong and escaped. Suddenly, the figure nodded and swung his hand toward Ting Wan, who was running away. The giant hand hit Ting Wan. Without any time to react, Ting Wan mysteriously disappeared. In Wang Lin's divine sense, the light representing Ting Wan dimmed. Shortly after, a drop of golden blood appeared where Ting Wan disappeared. Wang Lin reached out and the drop of blood flew toward him. At the same time, that giant figure bowed toward Wang Lin, walked into the sunset, and disappeared. The strange symbol formed by the golden blood also disappeared. At that moment, all of the nascent soul cultivators in Zhao noticed this disturbance. Punnan Zi, who was currently flying, suddenly stopped and his expression changed greatly. He quickly spread out his divine sense to check. At the same time, at Heaven's Tower in the center of Jiao, a fat man opened his eyes mid-cultivation, as he stared at Wang Lin's direction, with a look of disbelief. This is the giant demon clan's heaven opening technique. As for Wang Lin, he carefully put the drop of golden blood into his bag of holding and immediately sat down cross-legged. He took out bottles of jade and emptied them into his mouth, as he quickly activated the ancient god's tactic to digest them. The remaining puppets stood there, confused, next to Wang Lin, but if anything were to come close, it would attack. After one day, Wang Lin opened his eyes and took a deep breath. If it wasn't for the fact that he had all of those pills, then after using the ancient god's technique, it would take him at least half a month to recover. He stood up, looked at the puppet, and saw that it had taken some damage. According to the jade, the puppet would be able to repair itself, so Wang Lin made a seal and pressed it on the puppet's forehead, and it turned into smoke, which returned to Wang Lin's bag of holding. Wang Lin looked toward where Ting Wan died with a complex look. The Ting family was far more powerful than he had thought. If he couldn't successfully use the ancient god's technique according to his original plan, then he would have to use his final resort. The divine retribution lightning was something he really didn't want to use, because if he used it now, then there was a high chance that his revenge would be stopped short. This sliver of divine retribution lightning was something Wang Lin had prepared to deal with the messenger inside Heaven's Tower. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.